Hello everyone and welcome to Space Force, where space is the driving force in ecology. Last week we discussed how accounting for spatial dependence improves inference from findings and may help identify underlying mechanisms for observed spatial patterns. This week we will delve into the topics of how to define a landscape and quantify landscape patterns using various metrics. The main classes of landscape patterns include spatial point patterns. The figure shown includes different dispersion patterns of a theoretical feature on the landscape. This includes anything such as individual trees that can be represented by points. There are also linear network patterns, which are features such as roads and streams that are best represented by linear features. The example shown is of streams in a watershed. Next, we have surface patterns, which are quantitative measures that vary continuously across the landscape, such as elevation. The topography of Mount Rainier is shown in this figure. And lastly, we have categorical patterns, which characterize the composition and spatial configuration of a patch mosaic. Land cover maps are a classic example of this. We will further explore categorical map patterns. Categorical map patterns can be defined in terms of an island biogeographical model or a landscape mosaic model. A landscape mosaic model defines the landscape as a heterogeneous assemblage of patch types and is more representative of how wildlife species may use different habitats. Additionally, we can use landscape metrics at the patch level, class level, and landscape level to further characterize the heterogeneous assemblage of patch types. With each building on top of the previous level, different properties emerge at different spatial scales. Let's illustrate this concept with an example from biology. Multicellular organisms are composed of different levels of cellular organization. The building blocks of a multicellular organism are cells, which form tissues, which then form organs and different organ systems. The emergent functional properties of organs are based on cellular aggregation and are undefined at the individual cellular level.
After defining landscape class, habitat model, and spatial level, landscapes can further be described by the composition and configuration of patches. Composition can be measured with DERP characteristics. That is, diversity, evenness, richness, and proportional abundance of each patch class. While there isn't a fun acronym, configuration can be quantified by patch size, distribution and density, shape complexity, core area, isolation proximity, contrast, dispersion, contagion, interspersion, subdivision, and connectivity. The figure shown illustrates some of these basic attributes of landscape configuration. Ultimately, it is important to keep in mind that the characteristics and metrics used to describe landscape patterns are defined by researchers and may not fully capture how organisms perceive, experience, and interact with their environment. Therefore, it is important to carefully consider which type and combination of landscape pattern metrics are functionally meaningful for the wildlife species of interest in order to model realistic pattern-process relationships. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more content from Space Force.